Doing well. It's great to see you. Great to be here with you. I hope you're set for a beautiful weekend, wherever you are and whatever you're up to. Here in paradise, life is good. Life is good. We've had several weeks of tropical storms, and they seem to be past. We've had a couple days now of beautiful sunshine, amazing blue skies, as usual. This is our usual weather. These last couple weeks were a bit unusual, and we're getting a little old, the rain, but we're back to really being in paradise. It's amazing. I hope you're doing well and all set for a beautiful weekend. All right, welcome. If you're joining me here on Instagram, glad to see you. I see lots of people here, Jared, Danny, and many others. Glad to see you all. Tarek, nice to see you. Silmi, I am Lily, hello there. Dean Batesman, good to see you all. Paula, nice to see you here. Okay, I hope everyone's doing great and having a fantastic week. It's been good here. We're busy as we can be. We're full. That is typically how we are, and no difference now. We are today. This is our 28th day of a 70-day session. So we're finishing up the fourth week, which means we've got some folks leaving us tomorrow. We've got a few, I think 4 people. I think it's 4 people leaving and 4 people coming. We stay pretty full, but it's all good. It's busy. Life is good. We're seeing amazing things happening for people as usual, and all is well. Hello there from Chile. Nice to see you. I'm glad you're here. I'm not sure, Uvasal. I'm not sure what your name is, but I'm glad to see you. I'm glad you're here. All right, we've got some questions. Joe Smith says, how do I stay satiated throughout the day? I get very hungry late at night, and I'm trying to kill the cravings. I can't seem to sleep through it without eating something. I can't seem to sleep through, I think is what you meant to say, without eating something. Okay, so first of all, in most cases, these cravings aren't actually about needing food. Okay, that's not really what's going on. There's something else happening. And in fact, if what you're feeling is in the belly, this is usually about cleansing and healing. Real hunger is not experienced in the belly at all. And so most of the time when people think they're hungry, it's really something else entirely different going on, a bit of cleansing and healing. Okay, the best thing to do would be to sip a little bit of water, sip a small glass of water, and then go to bed. If your mind is active, you can do a mind dump where you write down, voice record, or type into a device whatever it is you're thinking about. And then what I would do is I would lay down and meditate on my pillow. Okay, I'd lay down and I'd meditate while lying on my pillow, because that's going to allow me to fall asleep if it's sleep my body's actually needing. Okay, but eating is definitely not what you want to do before going to bed. Okay, definitely not. You're going to sleep far better if you don't eat. And so I think it's just a question perhaps of practice, of understanding what's going on, telling yourself this is what it is, and being willing to get through this period. Now, one of the things, if you're able to do it, Joe, come spend 4 or more weeks with us, because you get your body clean and you won't have those cravings anymore. Okay, they'll be gone once all the garbage is out of your body, and then you'll have no trouble sleeping. Okay, you should be able to sleep all night, every night, all the way through the night if you're not eating or drinking late at night, once your system is clean. It's amazing what happens. Okay, it's amazing what happens. All right, so welcome to all the folks joining us here on Instagram, and to all the folks that are here with me on YouTube as well. I hope that makes sense. All right, Flyer says, hi, Loren. If a too small spread means not having enough blood and dehydration, what does a too big of a spread mean for blood amount and dehydration level? 29-year-old had 149/62 on SAD 1.5 years ago. Thanks. Okay, so to clarify a little bit for anyone who's new, when we talk about the spread, what we're talking about is what medicine calls pulse pressure, and it's really nothing more than the difference between systolic and diastolic pressure. So 120/80 is a 40-point spread. In this example, someone's got 142/62. That's an 80-point spread. Okay, that's a lot larger than it should be. And what that means is that there is some inefficiency in the body. There's something in the body that needs to heal. Okay, so the best thing to do is fast. Now, in the meantime, the spread needs to be larger than optimal. Okay, so at 142, the spread should be 57 points, and it's 80. All right. Obviously, this is hypertension, but it means that there's also something else going on in the body that's not functioning as well as possible. So, my suggestion would be to fast with me. Let's get the body cleaning out the garbage, and over time, this is something that your body almost certainly can resolve. Okay, almost certainly you can resolve this. But yes, this suggests there's an issue for sure. Blood amount is probably a little more than it should be, and that's an inefficiency in the body to be able to get rid of that. But that's where it needs to be in this situation. Okay, when someone has a spread above optimal, that what they don't want to do is drink less water to maintain an optimal spread, because that's what would happen. If they drank less, their blood volume would go down, but there's a problem in their body, and so they actually need it to be where it is. Okay, the thing that we want to understand, I mean, medicine would say, oh, we need to fix the symptom, but the symptom's there for a reason. And so if we're doing something to manipulate the body to get the symptom to where it is, for instance, to get that spread down, we're ignoring the underlying condition. And when we ignore underlying conditions, we don't create health. Okay, that's not how we create health. We create health by meeting the body's needs, by actually looking at the underlying condition, if we know what it is, and dealing with that, not by ignoring it. All right? I hope that makes sense. All right, Amir, hello there. Good morning. What's diastolic blood pressure anyway? What's the use of it? What makes it increase or decrease? Why does it increase when blood volume decreases? Vasoconstriction, any other reasons? Okay, so diastolic pressure is the bottom number on your blood pressure. Diastolic pressure is, so 120 over 80, 80 is diastolic, 120 is systolic. The numbers are measuring the amount. In the old days, a sphygmometer, which is a blood pressure meter, it had a glass tube with mercury in it. And so pressure was determined by how high a column of mercury that pressure would support. Okay, literally, is there enough pressure to hold up this much, this much? So 80 diastolic pressure is 80 millimeters of mercury, which is 8 centimeters of mercury, which is, about that high a column. Okay, that's what it meant. Today it doesn't mean anything. It's just it's a system that's used worldwide, which is great because no matter where you go, we can understand what these numbers mean. Okay, that's the benefit of using this system. It's no longer tied to mercury at all, but that's originally what it meant. That's where the numbers come from. But the diastolic pressure should be a certain distance away, proportional to the systolic pressure. So if the systolic pressure is 120, the spread should be 50 points. Okay, not 120 over 80, but 120 over 70. If the diastolic pressure, what it's actually looking at, so the heart is beating, right, pumping the blood. And when the heart beats and there's pressure behind it, we're diastolic pressure. What's the pressure in the arteries? Any artery, theoretically, any artery in the system should have the same pressure. Now, in practice, that doesn't happen. Okay, theoretically, that's how it should be. In a clean body, that's what would happen. And you can measure any artery anywhere. But you will hear that people will have, 60 or 100, 90% blockage in a particular artery and less in other arteries. Okay. And so as arteries become blocked, the pressure changes. The pressure increases if the artery is blocked. Okay. So while theoretically it should be the same everywhere, it's not going to be the same everywhere. But, where we're measuring it, and we're typically going to use this major artery right here that runs through the arm on the inside of the bicep. And we're looking at that for people where we can measure it there. That's usually going to be one of the best places to measure it, the most accurate. So the systolic pressure is the pressure when the heart is beating, and the diastolic pressure is the pressure when the heart is between beats. So heartbeat, right? Pressure goes up, pressure comes down, pressure goes up, pressure. Pressure is moving with the heartbeats. Same. Okay, and which means if you think about this, when we measure blood pressure, we're actually measuring something, trying to take a snapshot of something, a photograph of something, if you would, that's always changing. It's always moving. Okay, so how accurate is it going to be if it's always changing? Well, it's theoretically it's going to be accurate in that moment, but it could be different a moment later. Okay, and if someone's in critical condition, they're going to be monitored constantly so that the attending physicians can see what their pressure is over time. Now, looking at a snapshot isn't so useful, but we do it anyway, and it does help us. It does tell us some things. One of the things that happens is the difference between those two numbers is proportional to pressure, to systolic pressure. And so if your pressure is momentarily higher or lower, theoretically, the spread should move with it, okay? The spread should move with that. So what happens, actually, Amir, is if your blood volume is low, both of your numbers will fall, not go up, but they'll fall, okay? In fact, as blood volume decreases down to 0, think about what happens. Your blood pressure, both numbers are going to decrease until they get to 0. Okay, you bleed out, you've got 0 blood pressure, and the numbers are getting lower and lower until they're 0. Okay, so that's what's going on. I hope that makes sense. Hope you understand what I'm saying here. All right. Judy says, good morning, Loren. Great to see you. Good to see you too, Judy. I'm glad you're here. Jeffrey says, hi, Loren. How have you ever studied the Bataan Death March in 1942, men surviving extreme climate conditions with no food or water? Yep. I mean, I saw some movie, World War II movie, where that was, they depicted that. I don't remember any details about it. But is that the only question? Because the answer is yes, but I can't tell you much more than that. I mean, obviously, people can survive without food or water. We know that, for some period of time. What's happening if there's no water coming in for any length of time is people are becoming more and more dehydrated, okay? And, this comes back to this idea of dry fasting being beneficial to you, but making your body more dehydrated is never beneficial to you in any way. Okay, there's absolutely 0 benefits that accrue to you by making yourself more dehydrated, which is what happens when you're fasting without consuming water. Remember, folks, in nature, animals fast and most of the time don't drink water, but that's because their entire lives they've been eating the perfect diet for their bodies, the species-specific diet that they're meant to eat, which means they're not dehydrated. Okay, they didn't grow up eating dry cereal and toast, Pop-Tarts and cookies and crackers, these things that have no water in them, okay, corn chips and potato chips and all this other crap, and consuming coffee and sodas and alcohol, all of which are diuretics and have the body losing salt itself, salt, which takes the water out of your body, right? All these things animals in nature aren't doing, okay? So, yeah, I mean, no benefit. Yeah, you can survive for some period of time. Is it a good idea to do this? Absolutely not. Okay, not on purpose. All right. Ampolo says, hi, Loren. Does long-term fasting help reverse high blood pressure and hypertension? What would you recommend? So high blood pressure is hypertension. Hyper means high. Tension is pressure. So they're the same exact thing. Hypertension is high blood pressure. And we have, in 26 and a half years, we have 100% success eliminating hypertension with more than 400 clients, with the exception of one man in his mid to late 70s, I can't remember his exact age now, whose blood pressure dropped from 176 to 126. Normal blood pressure is 120, so getting to 120 or below. Dropped from 176 to 126. Normal blood pressure is 120, so getting to 120 or below means eliminating hypertension. He got down to 1 from 176. Everybody else has ended up below 120. Okay, 100% success, assuming it's done properly. So this is not something you want to do on your own. If you're thinking about that, stop thinking about that. That's a mistake. Okay, you want to make sure you're doing it properly so you get the most benefits and stay as safe as possible. But if you've got hypertension, Ampolo, and you want to eliminate that or know someone who does, they can either come here or I can work with them remotely. I will guarantee them, if they're willing to follow my simple coaching, they will complete their process with no hypertension, because that's what happens virtually every single time. Okay, it's that consistent. It's amazing what happens. Okay, it's incredible because our bodies are self-healing. I mean, again, people, I still have haters, detractors saying this is a scam. Of course, there's a lot fewer of them now than there were 10 years ago. Why? Because people are hearing more about fasting all the time, okay? But the science has been clear about this for a long, long time. Humans have known about this for a long, long time. Every species instinctively fasts when it's sick enough or badly enough injured. Why? Because our bodies, every organism, is self-healing. Fasting simply allows us to get out of the body's way so that it can heal as efficiently and as effectively as possible. Okay, as efficiently and as effectively as possible. That's what happens when we do this properly. And so what happens is nothing short of miraculous in many cases, okay, depending on what's going on for somebody. All right, you want to be clear about that. Dean Bateman says, hi, Loren. I'm looking to retire in 2023. Any update on when building occupancy will begin in Las Cascadas? We are hoping to begin building sometime in the next 12 months and believe that will be happening. Right now, there's still an opportunity to save on lot purchases, 20%. Okay, and to be honest with you, you know, I've got $1 million plus invested in this property project and don't have any more money. So, you know, aside from what's coming into Tanglewood that is excess beyond what we need to operate, that's getting invested every month in on land contracts, etc., maintenance and so forth. I don't have any more cash. I've invested everything I had. So in order to keep this project moving, we actually need people like you to be willing to step up and make it happen. And you're going to help us make the whole thing happen, and you're saving $10,000, which, you know, I guess if you've got a lot of money in the bank, maybe that's not such a big deal, but it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. And if you're ready to come to Costa Rica and we're not ready to house you, I will help you find a place in this area. Okay, I'll help you find a place in this area. We can work on getting you organic produce, because it's hard to find locally, most of it, what we need, but we order it. We have several providers that deliver to us, so we can order more. You know, we can have a little co-op for anyone who's ready to come now, and we can't put you up in Las Cascadas yet. We'll put you up somewhere in the area, and we'll make sure that you get the highest quality food possible so that you're here and ready to go, and we can start working on this thing together. So if that sounds good, email me, okay? Send me a message and let's figure out how to make this happen. Thoughts on urine therapy and fasting, Jerry? Yes, Jerry, I do have some thoughts. Let's be clear, first of all, folks, you know, there's a lot of people out there who talk about urine therapy and dry fasting, a lot of other things, without truly understanding the physiology of the body, okay, how the body works. But it's been clear now for well over 100 years, the function of the kidneys and urinary tract. And so I'll explain briefly in simple terms how this works. Your kidneys, you have two kidneys. They're located towards your lower back here, down here. And they are essentially very long tubes that all of your blood is filtered through roughly 60 times per day. Okay, I believe, if I'm thinking correctly, that's roughly every 24 minutes or so, all of your blood is being filtered. And the kidney's job is really twofold. I mean, its job is to keep the blood exactly how it wants to be. And what that means is, A, filtering out toxic substances that don't belong there, okay? And that includes household cleaning products and personal care products and pesticides that wind up in the body and herbicides. And we're literally surrounded by toxic substances. The world's become an increasingly toxic place. The result of that is higher rates of cancer in wildlife. And so the kidney's job is to filter this stuff out of the bloodstream. Okay, the kidney also filters out all of the stuff, and this is urine therapy. People say, yeah, but it's got all this beautiful stuff in there, like minerals and all kinds of things that the body is looking for. Potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, for instance. These are electrolytes that need to be in the body in specific proportions. So what does the body do? You know, my classic example here is my diet. I live on fruit and leafy greens. There's relatively low levels of sodium in most of the things I eat. I don't eat any processed food. It's fresh, organic fruit, mostly high water content fruits, watermelons, papayas, pineapples, some bananas, some mangoes, some ramatans. I mean, some of lots of different fruits when they're available to me. I'll eat, there's many fruits that I love. We have more than 200 varieties on site, but our staple foods are, these same things. relatively low levels of sodium, relatively high levels of potassium. Looking at some of the staple foods, watermelons, papayas, bananas, avocados, which I'll eat with every salad, at least a couple times a week or more. These foods all contain high levels of potassium and very low levels of sodium. So what does that mean? Well, in order to keep the sodium and potassium in the relationship to each other that they should be, there's a specific proportion that there should be with these two electrolytes. My body is going to be constantly excreting potassium because I'm taking in more than I need. Okay. Now, again, people who drink their own urine say, well, this is your body's perfect medicine. It's got everything you need in it. Yeah, it's got everything I need in it that the body has chosen to get rid of. Okay. My body is virtually infinitely intelligent. Okay. If my body wanted that stuff, it wouldn't be putting it in the bladder where I'm going to get rid of it. Okay. It wouldn't be doing that. And at the same time, remember, there's up to 400 different chemicals that show up in urine, including all kinds of very toxic substances. Okay, this is the body's primary way of eliminating toxins from the body. So consuming your own urine is insane. It's literally insane. This is your body's waste product. This is stuff your body does not want. It does not want it. Now, some of the arguments that proposed by urine, pee drinkers, I'll call them, make no sense. They say, well, if your body didn't want it, you wouldn't store it. Okay, let's look at that. Let's break that down for a second. So we hold it in the bladder until we get to a certain point. Typically, when the bladder is about 70% full, you'll get the urge to pee. And as you probably know, if you don't immediately act on that urge, it will get stronger over time until eventually you're doing the pee dance, and then you're going to just pee no matter what. Your body may say, your bladder may say, look, sorry, I know these are your best pants, or this is your best dress, ladies, or you're sitting on your best furniture. I can't hold this anymore. Okay, you're gonna pee. That's what happens because the bladder is a bag. It has a finite capacity. It will stretch, but it has a finite capacity, and eventually it's going to have to let go. Okay, if you don't do it on purpose, your body's you're gonna pee anyway. All right. So why they say, well, we store it so that we can use it when we want it. Store it. Okay, maybe, right? But it occurs to me that so that we don't pee everywhere we go. Okay, think about this, folks. Your body is constantly making urine. It never stops. Okay, 24/7, your body's making urine. And if it's not, then you've got one of two problems. Okay, and one is likely to lead to the other. One is you're severely dehydrated and can't make any urine. And that's a very serious problem because your body, your blood quickly becomes toxic that way. Okay, there's constantly things your body needs to get rid of and keep in balance. Okay, the second issue is your kidneys are no longer capable of doing the job. If that's true, you don't live very long. And so what happens is you need to go on a machine that can do that job for you. Okay, that's what happens. Okay, and this is a terrible situation to be in. You have to be stuck on this machine that's filtering your blood for you because your body can't do it anymore. All right. And I said one leads to the other one because if you're dehydrated long enough, what happens to your kidneys? You destroy them. Okay, this is what happens when people are dry fasting. Could come back there for a minute, or even going through life without drinking enough water. Okay, what happens? Your kidneys are being damaged. They're being scarred because you're pushing all this solid material through there. There should be enough liquid. If there's not, you damage your kidneys. Okay, it's one of the things that happens. So drinking your urine makes no sense whatsoever. Your body wanted to get rid of this stuff. You're putting it back in. Okay, now why do people feel better when they drink their urine? Some people claim that they feel better. They eliminate symptoms by drinking urine. Well, you can feel better by drinking alcohol. Okay, if you've got a hangover, which is the headache is dehydration caused because alcohol is a diuretic, and you get this headache, you go drink more alcohol. What happens? You feel better. Why is that? Well, that's because you take the alcohol back into your bloodstream, the poison, and your body stops detoxifying. Okay, that's why I believe people feel better when they drink their own urine, because they're reconsuming these toxic substances. Okay, I hope that makes sense to everybody. I mean, I really hope this makes sense because I don't want you drinking your own pee. It's a waste product. Okay. And by the way, just like urine, coming back to that justification, we store it because it's there for us, so we can have it if we want it. Well, guess what else we store and then finally eliminate all at one time? Poop. Same thing. Okay. So should we be consuming that because the body stores it? Of course not. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Okay. This is a waste. These are waste products your body does not want. Don't consume them. Okay. Here's the liquid that you should be consuming. This is clean water. This comes out of the ground from a spring here on site. This is what we drink. This is almost the only thing I drink most of the time. There may be an occasional juice or smoothie. Okay, but most of the time it's going to be clean spring water and nothing else. This is what belongs in our bodies. Okay, nothing man-made. Okay, including pee. Okay, your pee is made by you. Don't drink it. Okay, it's a man-made substance. You should be drinking the water that nature provides for every species on the planet. We've got a super chat here. Martha is here, those love songs, and says, thank you for explaining. Have a fantastic weekend, Loren. Thank you so much, Martha. I promise you I will. Life is beautiful and I enjoy it very much. We have sunshine and I've got Frisbees and, beautiful gardens and trails and amazing fruit. And so how could I not enjoy life? Okay, that's what how does anyone not enjoy life under those circumstances? I hope you have a fantastic weekend too. Thank you so much for your continuous ongoing support. I appreciate that very much. Mia, right below there, I see you. Hello, Mia. Hope you're doing well. I was thinking about you earlier. I hope life is good with you. Am I familiar with TSW? I don't know what TSW is. I mean, I might be, but I'm not sure what that stands for. So I guess the answer is no. I need a brief interruption. What's up? Hola. Sí, claro. Gracias. Let's see. Okay. Brief interruption there from my office. All right. Let's see. Where were we over here? Perfect. Yeah. Be in touch. Send me. You can send me a direct message here on Instagram. I will respond to you as quickly as I'm able to. I've got a very busy day, most days. I'm from here, a full group of people fasting and refeeding with me. And then I go into a lecture here, and then I see the 30 clients who are here. And then I have breakfast at around 3 o'clock or 3:15 in the afternoon. And today I'm going to be taking a group of people over to Las Cascadas to see from the top everything, the amazing views of the valley and point out where everything's going to happen. And so I probably won't be, I've got about an hour from 6 to 7 when I'll eat again. And then I have a meditation at 7 o'clock, and then I finish at 8:15, 8 o'clock, 8:15. I'm free. So it may be later on this evening is my point before I'm able to respond. But if you write to me today, I'll respond probably today. Okay, Janelle Hamilton, hello there. Loren, excuse me. Hi, Loren. Can you talk about how much fat we should be consuming a day on raw? Trying to find a balance. Yeah. So this is a really great question. And it's a question that comes up a lot. It's a question that confuses a lot of people. Hello there. I'm just waving to all the folks here on Instagram. I like that feature. It's kind of cool. How much fat should one be consuming? Hello there. I've just been joined by my fuzzy assistant. This is Chai. Say hello, Chai. Chai spends about half his morning on my lap. It's wonderful on cool days. On warm days like today, the lap gets a bit warm sometimes. Probably reducing my sperm count. So is that more than you need to know? All right, so how much fat should we eat? So the thing is, for most people, if you're coming off of a standard diet, which most people did at some point, if they're eating a raw diet, they probably, most of us, at some point, were eating more or less conventionally. And eating conventionally means you're getting typically between 30 and 40% of your calories from fat, okay? Now, it's easy to do, even if you're not eating such a high-fat diet, because fat has just over twice as many calories per gram of fat as do protein or carbohydrates, okay? So a little bit of fat can have a huge impact on your caloric intake. Most people are getting way too much fat in their diet, okay? And it's easy for people to do the same thing on a raw vegan diet. But honestly, If you've been eating conventionally and just switch over to a raw diet, what's going to happen is your body's going to be very inefficient with regard to fat use. Okay, it's not going to be very efficient at using fat. And so you may need to consume more than your body actually needs or wants in order to get what your body needs and wants. You may have to consume more because the body's become very inefficient. That's basically the definition of inefficiency, right? You're taking in, let's say, you're taking in 100 grams, but your body's only getting 20. So if your body needs 20, you have to take in 100 to get 20. Whereas if your body was efficient, maybe you'd only have to take in 22 to get 20, or 30 to get 20, whatever the number would be. Okay, so the less efficient you are, the more you have to consume, and that's what happens for people coming from a standard diet. So initially, this is the reason why people coming off of a standard diet will often crave nuts and seeds. Okay, because their body is used to getting tons of fat, and it still is inefficient and needs that much fat just to get its needs met. Now, ultimately, the body gets more efficient just eating optimally. With fasting, it happens right away. Okay, so I take somebody through, I've taken 10,000 people through fasts of 26 days or more. Even after a 21-day fast, by the time someone's done, their body needs very little concentrated fat, very little to get what we need. We need essential fatty acids. Okay, we need the omega-3 and 6 fatty acids. There may be other things that haven't even been identified yet that we're getting from natural plant fats. We should never be consuming animal fats, okay? Remember, folks, the more animal products we consume, the higher the rates of disease and death from all causes. There's no justification to eat animal products. Okay, our bodies are not set up for that. Our digestive systems are virtually identical to the primate relatives with whom we share 99+% of our DNA and who live almost exclusively on fruit and some soft, tender leaves. That's all they eat. That's all we need to eat. We definitely do not need animal products. And the only things we get from eating animal products that we don't get from fruits and leafy greens are cancer and heart disease and dementia and lower GI tract problems, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, this is not helping us whatsoever. Okay, this is not good for us. Dude, I'm going to put you off my lap. I'm sorry, I love you, but a little too warm today for that. All right? Here, why don't you make yourself comfortable on the couch behind me? All right. I love that cat, but it's a little too warm for that. It's great on a cool evening or a cool morning, but sun shining, it's beautiful and warm as usual here. So initially, most people are going to be drawn to eating a lot of fat. You don't want to keep doing that. Okay, it's not helping you. We need very little concentrated fat. I don't believe in counting macros. You don't have to put it into a computer. But let me say this. Once your body's efficient, I can easily get all the fat I need eating watermelon and papaya, okay, and bananas and mangoes. Do those things have fat? Yeah, as it turns out, the cell nucleus of every living cell is made of fat. Okay, it's a tiny amount of fat, but that's all we need. We don't need more than that. Okay, so most of the time, that's all you need to do. Now, again, if you're in transition, you might need a bit more than that until you get your body truly clean and well functioning. If I can help you with that, I'd be happy to do it. That's primarily what I do. All right. Has fasting cured chronic diseases such as HIV and cancer? Well, let's be absolutely clear here. I've said this a couple times today. I'm not sure, maybe you weren't on at the time, last time I used these specific words, but your body is self-healing. So what does fasting heal? Nothing. Fasting can't cure you of anything because only the body can heal the body. Now, what fasting does is it allows us to get out of our amazing self-healing body's way so that it's able to cleanse and heal as well as possible. Okay, that's what fasting does. But fasting doesn't actually heal us. The body heals itself. Fasting just gives us the optimal conditions and opportunity for that to happen. And fasting will allow the body the optimal conditions and opportunity to heal anything and everything that needs to heal. So will we heal from HIV and cancer with fasting? If the body's capable of healing those things, it's going to heal best with fasting. We have seen many, many clients with cancer. We've seen cancer disappear. Okay, disappear. Now, does that always happen? It does not. It does not. Sometimes it's a little too late. Okay, we're working with people with cancer, they are not going to survive. Now, I mean, we can't know who they are, and so we're going to do everything we can to help them. But in the end, there are some cases where it's just too late. Okay, the body was too much for it to deal with. It's no longer able to heal given the conditions that are present at this stage. Okay, that's what happens. HIV is, this supposed virus that no one's ever seen. It's never been isolated. They don't actually isolate. When they talk about isolating viruses, it's a lie. Okay, they're not truly isolating. What they're doing is they're actually adding stuff in. I mean, let's say I wanted to isolate something from this glass of water. What I would need to do would be to take everything else out so that all that was left was one thing. That's what it means to isolate. Isolate, to make by itself, right? To have alone by itself. That's what isolation is. When they talk about isolating viruses, what they're actually doing is they're adding a bunch of stuff in, seeing some damage occur to the tissue, and saying, therefore, it must have been a virus. That's completely illogical because they're adding stuff that's damaging to the virus, to the tissue, excuse me. Okay, so there's absolutely no justification for this, and anyone's ever seen a virus. Okay, never been seen. So is there such a thing? I don't know. I mean, what we know, there doesn't have to be a virus. Okay, think about the people who are most prone to AIDS. Okay, HIV/AIDS, right? These were homosexual men and IV intravenous drug users. Okay. Now, why would these people be most likely to have problems with their immune system? Well, it's very simple. While the vagina is intended to receive sperm, the rectum's not. And so when there's sperm in the rectum, what happens is most of the sperm cells are actually there to defeat the defenses of the body so that one victorious sperm can make it to the egg. In the rectum, the only thing that's happening is you're actually downgrading the immune function of the receiver. The rectum that's getting semen is not going to do so well. And the more often that happens, the bigger the problem is. I had a gay client tell me that it wasn't at all unusual to have sex with 10 different men at a gay bar over the course of an evening. Okay, I mean, that's a lot. And if you're receiving, then you're going to wind up, dramatically depressing your body's immune function. IV drug users are they're damaging their bodies, and they're sharing things and, passing all kinds of things back and forth when they're sharing needles. And so it's people with, AIDS is acquired immune deficiency syndrome. So what happens is the body's immune function decreases. Is it a disease, or is it just the result of doing things that decrease your body's immune function? If you never get enough sleep and you overuse drugs and alcohol, and you're having sex in a way that's actually harmful to the body, then you're going to wind up with very poor immune function. Okay, can people heal from this? Yeah, again, depending on how far advanced it is, people can rebuild their body's immune function. We've seen this over and over again. Okay, I had a client who came in with so many warts on his hands. This is one of the symptoms of AIDS. He had so many warts on his hand, you couldn't count them. But 4 weeks later, there was about half as many. I mean, we could see, from being covered to being only half covered. Okay, so didn't eliminate it, but it did a dramatically better job of dealing with this particular issue. Okay, so yeah, the body can heal almost everything given the right conditions. Right, TSW, if you want to tell me what that is, lucid links, that's fine. I've never heard of it, so I'm not sure what that is. So sensitive. Okay, Amir says, if I drink some water with bananas so that the combination becomes 92% water, just like watermelon, where does the water get absorbed? At the beginning of the small intestine or transverse colon? So it's a good question, because what you're talking about, first of all, it's not really nothing like watermelon. Okay, we're not nature. We can't produce something like watermelon by blending something in a blender and adding water. See, the difference is that the water in watermelon, in all of our perfect foods, is so much more easily absorbed by the body. We see this here. We see people consuming tiny amounts of watermelon when they break their fast, and we see their hydration going up, where drinking a lot of water isn't doing that. Okay, eating the food does that, because the water in the food is much better absorbed by the body. Okay, so when we blend water with bananas and it's 92% water, we're not getting the same thing. Okay, it's not the same. It's not used the same way. But let's just stick with the watermelon. Okay, I'm not sure how it's working in the smoothie. It may well be when we drink a smoothie that much of the water begins to be absorbed in the small intestine, just as when we drink water. Whereas when we eat food, we eat the watermelon, it's 92% water. That watermelon goes all the way through our system. It retains most of the water. Maybe there's tiny amounts being absorbed until it gets to the transverse colon, which comes right across the center of the belly. Okay, comes across the center of the belly. And what happens there is we absorb the excess water from the food back into the bloodstream. And that's amazing. That's how we get most of the water the body needs if we're eating properly. Okay, now notice I didn't say all the water the body needs. Once again, unfortunately, I talked earlier about dehydration vis-a-vis dry fasting, but we see people who come in eating perfectly, a perfect diet, but not drinking any water because they have this idea that their body doesn't need any more water if they're eating perfectly. Until their body's clean, all that guarantees is they're going to be dehydrated. We measure them here, dozens every year, maybe 100 or more every year that are severely dehydrated, eating a perfect diet, but not drinking enough water. Okay, so when we eat food, the water stays in the food until the transverse colon, one of the last sections of the large intestine. From the transverse colon, it goes into the descending colon, the sigmoid colon, the rectum, and then is eliminated from the body. And we've absorbed most of the water back into the body. Now, we still need the stool, still about 75% water, but I say most of the water. We're getting a lot of water that way from high water content foods like watermelon. Now, bananas aren't providing us with much water because they don't have 75% water. Stool is 75% water, and bananas are only 73%. They're not helping us much with hydration, but watermelon is, and the water is absorbed in the transverse colon. Okay, hope that makes sense. All right. Hello, Mia. Mia says, I just met a mother who has been on dialysis for 10 years. She's 50 years young now and still suffering. She goes to dialysis for her blood needs 3 times a week. Yes, exactly. I mean, if your kidneys have stopped functioning, you're going to be on dialysis, and most likely, typically, for the rest of your life. It is possible to regenerate your kidneys. Okay, it is possible under the right circumstances. And I probably have shared this story before in recent weeks, but I recently fasted a young man from Europe. It was the second fast with me. He did the first one 2.5, 3 years ago. And about a year later, came back to me and said, hey, can we do it again? And I said, sure, we got that all set up. And then at the last minute, he said, listen, I disagree with you about how much water we need to drink while fasting. So if it's okay with you, I'm just going to drink when I'm thirsty. And I said, no, definitely not okay with me. If you're not going to take coaching, I can't guide you through the process. Okay, I can't take any responsibility if you're not willing to follow my coaching on this. And so he fasted on his own. He wound up in the hospital for, I think, 2 to 3 months. Okay, he had 4% kidney function, 4%. Okay, he's lucky to have survived this. How did he do this? He didn't drink enough water while fasting. Okay, he wasn't dry fasting. He was drinking water, but he wasn't drinking enough. Okay, and this is what happens. And imagine what people are doing to themselves when they're drinking no water at all. It's literally, it's insane. Okay, and again, I've said this before, but again, I want you to understand, if you're hearing this for the first time, when we take these people who've been dry fasting and they think they've eliminated various conditions because their symptoms disappear, and we get them hydrated here through our process, all their symptoms come back. Their symptoms went away because a dehydrated body can't cleanse or heal. And that's what symptoms are. The body's cleansing and healing. Eliminating symptoms is not making us healthier. Not unless the symptoms are eliminated because the body's actually resolved the underlying problem. I mean, folks, eliminating symptoms is what conventional allopathic medicine is all about. Okay, why don't we just go back to that then? If the idea is just eliminating symptoms, take drugs. Okay, they're also, like dry fasting, they're harmful to you, and drinking your own pee. These things are all they have in common is that they're harmful to you, and they may make your symptoms better, but they're not making you healthier. You want to understand. Okay, the fact that symptoms go away doesn't mean you're actually healthier. Okay, this is a piece that a lot of people seem to miss. Oh, but it's alternative. That's different. It's good for you. A lot of things aren't good for you. Okay. What's good for us is to do what nature intended for us to do. That's it. Okay. We're not going to do better than that. Not ever. This young man I was telling you about, came back and did a second fast, third fast, second one with me. Recently got a test. Now has 100% kidney function again. Okay. His body was able to heal as a result of fasting and eating properly after being severely damaged by fasting without enough water. Okay, so the body can heal. Has fasting cured? Oh, I already went there. Sorry about that. All right, let me scroll down. Hello there, all you lovely people joining. Glad to see you here. Si estás acá y habla español, mañana, sábado, estoy en vivo en español. Hoy solamente en inglés. Okay, G-Ro says what I thought, but there are some convincing crazies out there. Yes, indeed, there are people out there who are, very convinced of what they're saying, but that doesn't make it true. I met a guy who I was speaking at a festival, and he came up to me and said, Loren, he said, you're one of my inspirations. I consider you a mentor. I've learned a lot from you. He said, but there's one thing you're missing. And he handed me a book he wrote about drinking pee. And here's the thing. The guy was overweight, obese, and smelled like pee. He smelled like pee. Well, I mean, I smell like fruit. Okay, if you're eating enough fruit, you're going to smell like fruit. This guy smelled like pee, drinking his own pee. He's trying to convince me this is good for you. Nope. No, exactly. I mean, dribbling, G-Rose says, dribbling pee everywhere. Imagine if we didn't have a bladder, we would constantly be leaking urine all the time. Maybe that's why we store it, so we can, at some point, get up and say, you know what, I think I'll let go of this stuff over there because I don't want it on my desk chair, on my couch, on my bed. If we didn't have a bladder, folks, pee drinkers, we'd be peeing all the time everywhere we were. Okay? I mean, is this not clear and simple? Same with poop, okay? Your body stores poop until there's enough to evacuate at once so you're not constantly pooping all the time. Okay? Doesn't this make more sense? I mean, this definitely doesn't mean that we should be consuming this stuff. I would have hoped that this was clear and obvious, but as G-Russ says, a lot of crazy people out there. Okay? People believe what they want to believe, even when it makes no sense whatsoever. All right, I'm completely clear. We're never going to improve on nature. So the best we do is we eat the perfect natural diet that nature gives us. We're frugivores. We're meant to eat fruit and soft, tender leaves. We can't do better than that. Okay, there's no diet that's going to be better because that's our natural diet. We go to sleep when it's dark. We rest all night until it's light. That's ideal. Okay, that's what nature intended for us. We wouldn't be walking around in the dark in the jungle. Okay, we're tropical animals. We wouldn't be walking around in the dark. We'd be lying down resting. We should be resting all night. Okay. We would be sipping water because we're thirsty. We wouldn't be saying, but I've heard it's better if if I don't drink anything. No, I mean, you're thirsty, you drink water. That's what nature says. That's what every other species does. Every other species listens to its body, not humans. Okay. The old hard material absorbs water like a giant sponge. Have you ever measured urine output and compared it with water intake to see how much your theory holds water, figurative and literal? Yes, indeed. My theory holds water. This is exactly what's happening, guaranteed. We can see this happening. We don't even have to do that. We have done that in the past. We don't have to. We use a bioimpedance device. We can see people's body fat going up. Okay, when I see someone gain 1 pound of body fat today while fasting, that means they're about to have a bowel movement. Their body is holding water in the intestine, and the bioimpedance device sees that water in the intestine as fat because it's water it can't account for. It just sees weight. If someone gains a pound of body fat, 95% chance they're about to have a bowel movement within the next 24 hours. Okay, my theory is absolutely correct. I don't care who the expert is, they can argue with me. I know this is what's happening. We've seen it happen. I've guided more than 10,000 people through the process. If you take my coaching, you eliminate old waste and you'll know for yourself. You'll feel it yourself. Okay, that's all we need to know. What do you recommend we do to tap water to make more easily assimilated by the body, no access to spring water? Well, honestly, you shouldn't be drinking tap water, period. What you should do is go find good spring water. And honestly, and again, I realize people say, well, that's impractical. Yeah, you know what? The greatest advances we've made in life don't happen by you might want to move to where you do. I personally wouldn't live in any place where I couldn't get good spring water on site. if you can buy it in glass bottles, that's okay. It's a lot more expensive that way, but you can do that. Okay. But tap water, all you can do is reverse osmosis. Definitely never, ever distillation. Definitely never. Okay. Distilled water is garbage. You should not consume it. All right. Krenar Goku says, I want to ask if beet juice is good. No juice is really good for you. Okay. We're meant to consume whole foods. Beets, like most other root vegetables, are virtually indigestible. Okay. Beet juice contains high amounts of sugar. In the absence of fiber, it spikes your glucose, blood glucose, and therefore insulin levels, and that's bad for you. Okay. And we're spikes your glucose, blood glucose, and therefore insulin levels, and that's bad for you. Okay. And we're oxidizing a lot of the nutrients, like, within minutes, almost instantly, we're losing nutrients. Eat whole foods. We don't need beets. Okay. Eat the foods our bodies were meant for. Fruits, soft, tender leaves. There's no reason. Now, if you occasionally enjoy a glass of beet juice, or, for me, it would be carrot, beet, maybe a little bit of apple mixed in, high sugar. Okay. It's an occasional treat. Like, that's the worst thing I'll do most of the time. And that only happens a few times a year. But is that healthier than eating food? Absolutely not. Not a chance. Okay. Eat the whole food your body's meant for. Okay. That's the very best thing you can do. There's no reason to consume juices on a regular basis. I eat beets or carrots every day. Any word on this? I've just given you a word on that. Okay. These aren't things we're meant to be eating. Fruits, soft, tender leaves. Dean says, what's the best advice for a gringo to adjust to Latin American culture shock? There's not so much culture shock here. People aren't that different all over the world. Dean, if you want to, if you decide to go ahead and make this investment, and you want to talk, we'll talk. And I can answer all your questions and talk to you exactly about how it looks and what it's like. And again, we can set you up close by, and there doesn't need to be a lot of shock. It's no big deal. I've lived here for 17 years. When I got here, it wasn't really a problem. The biggest issue for me was I didn't speak Spanish. And so I needed to learn Spanish, which I did quickly because I was immersed in the culture. And that's the only way I could communicate with people. That's the only thing. If you already speak Spanish, I don't think you're going to find it to be a problem. All right. Eric says that alcohol phenomenon is the same as when detoxing from heroin, cigarettes, even junk food. Retoxing stops the unpleasant detoxing. Exactly. That's exactly my point. It doesn't matter what the substance is. This works for heroin, cocaine, alcohol, tobacco, nicotine, and urine. Okay, if you're consuming your own pee, you're consuming toxins, and so you stop detoxing. Okay, that's what's going on. There's no reason to consume this stuff. All right, Eric, a good reminder here. Eric, we need people to step up and get involved. Okay, we need those funds to keep this thing moving. It's been going now for years. It's happening. I've invested a lot of money. I'm not walking away from it, but it would help us tremendously. Okay, if those people who already know they're committed are willing to step up to the plate. Okay, that would help tremendously. Okay, we're on the verge of bringing in some investment capital. We need to keep things moving every month. Every month, it's bleeding me. I'm coming out of pocket $7,000 a month right now on contracts. It would be if we had one or two people buying into the project. Guess what? All of a sudden, life's a lot easier, and we're able to make things happen much faster. Okay. All right. So welcome to all you lovely people here joining us. We are running out of time. We've got just a few minutes left. Let me see where we are here. I don't remember where I was. Can fasting heal a scar? Any improvement observed? It depends on where the scar is and what type of scar tissue it is. Scars vary dramatically depending on where they're located and the type of scar. In some cases, absolutely yes. In some cases, no. But you're going to get healthier in every single way. So even if the scar tissue doesn't heal, you'll be healthier than you've ever been in your life if you do it properly and long enough. Guaranteed. That's what happens. All right. All right. Presence of fat in the bloodstream after eating avocado makes you insulin resistant, but ironically, some people use ketogenic diet to resolve insulin resistance. I don't understand. Well, the answer is very simple, Amir. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh at you, but the reason that people with eating a ketogenic diet don't have insulin problems is because they stop eating carbohydrates. The ketogenic diet means almost zero carbs. So if there's no carbs, guess what? There is no insulin resistance. There's no problem because there's no sugar. You don't need any insulin. Okay, this is the thing. But that's like saying I'm allergic to sunlight, and so I never go outside, and I've healed my allergy because I never go outside. You haven't fixed anything. You're avoiding the problem. The problem is that we need sunlight. Okay, we need carbohydrates. We're meant to live on carbohydrates. Okay, a ketogenic diet, again, this is idiotic. There's no science to demonstrate this is a good idea. It's not a good idea. Okay, we're not meant to live on fats and protein. It's mostly fats. Okay, we're not meant to do that. That's not beneficial to the body. We already know this. Science is really clear. The more protein you eat, the faster you age and die. The more animal products you eat, the higher the rate of disease and death from all causes. Specifically, specific diseases included are heart disease, stroke, cancer, lower GI tract problems, dementia, et cetera, et cetera. This is insane. It's crazy. You know, again, the best we can do is to eat the diet our bodies were intended for. We don't have an insulin problem when we eat a healthy diet. Okay, if you want to eat avocados, they're perfect foods. Eat them last so you don't have all the fat in your bloodstream when you eat the next meal. That's all. Make them the last meal today so you don't have this issue. Then you don't have a problem whatsoever. Okay, I've got time for one more question. Let me see if maybe someone I haven't already answered a question for. Okay, here's something here. Abstract worlds. Abstract swirls. Okay, I don't think I've answered one of your questions yet. If someone has severe adrenal fatigue, then would water fasting for a few weeks be safe? I have weak adrenals, and when I don't eat for 1 or 2 days, I feel like I will faint and get very shaky and weak. There's no better way to heal the adrenal glands. I was just talking about this on a podcast last night. Some of you might have heard of Paul Nissan. He's been a raw vegan for a long time. I'm not sure if he's all raw still, but what was. And I know him. He actually spoke at Tanglewood 25 years ago when we were in our first location. And he reached out to me recently and asked me if I'd be willing to come on to his, do a podcast with him. We recorded that last night. I'm not sure when it will go live, but we recorded that last night. This very question came up. There's no better way to heal your adrenal fatigue. The thing is, you need to know what you're doing so you do it properly, in which case you don't have an issue, okay? Don't do this on your own. There's no expert, no one knowledgeable in fasting would ever recommend fasting on your own for any length of time. But if you're willing to do it with experienced guidance, you will absolutely eliminate the adrenal fatigue, okay? This is something we see happening here all the time, literally all the time, okay? I mean, multiple times per year. 5-10 times every year. We'll see someone with adrenal fatigue. They fast 21 days or more, and they complete the process like a new person. Is teenage fasting safe? If you know what you're doing, if you have experienced guidance. I fasted many I have a teenager here right now. Okay, his mother threatened to kill me. His mother, was begging me to not allow her son to come. He's a teenager, but he's an adult. Okay, he's over 18. So I said, sorry, I'm not going to tell him that. He's going to be perfectly fine. Today is his 28th day of a 28-day process. He goes home tomorrow. He is feeling and functioning better than he ever has. Okay, we have fasted 13-year-olds and 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds and children 8 and 9 years old, and we see amazing results in all cases as long as it's done properly. All right, folks, I've got to go. 16 is no problem, Wolfgang. It doesn't make any difference. If you can take direction and you're willing to do what you need to do, you won't have a problem. It won't be an issue. All right. Got to go, folks. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I look forward to seeing you again next week. If this has been valuable for you, let me ask you to say so, demonstrate that. Okay. If you're enjoying this, if you think there's benefit here, let's give it a like. Let's give it a thumbs up here on YouTube. Let's give it a like here on Instagram. That helps, okay, with ratings and rankings. So if you appreciate this, why not let people know that? Okay. All right, step up and give it a like. I think there's a lot of valuable stuff here. I guarantee results. I guarantee clients results. And if people are willing to do what they need to do, virtually everyone can get to the place where they feel and function amazingly well, have incredible mental clarity, have more energy than they imagined possible every single day, feel great, are strong and fit at any age. Because I'm better off today at 61 than I was at 18. You can do exactly the same thing, but you have to know what you're doing. Folks, I got to go. I got a group waiting for me. I will see you next week. Have a fantastic weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.